You are listening to She Rises, a podcast dedicated to women who are ready to stop settling and start living their lives by design. If you're ready to talk about the stuff that weighs you down and get practical advice on everything from your health, body image, spirituality, relationships, and personal growth, then you're in the right place. Hello, I'm Giovanna Capozza, your host, master coach, spiritual teacher, and mind-body expert, and I'm on a mission to unsettle women all over the world. Are you ready to rise? Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of She Rises. I am your host, Giovanna Capozza, and this week's episode is a follow-up and really an appendage to the last episode that we did with Kendra Cunov. For those of you that missed that episode, go on over to sherisespodcast.com and check it out there, or you can go to iTunes or Google Play Music and catch it there. But we did a podcast with Kendra, and we were talking about her no-man diet. And we talked about this concept of really taking a break from relationship, whether it was a man diet or a woman diet, but a no man or woman, no relationship diet, and really taking a break and stepping back to look at what your patterns are, to look at what are you attracting? What are you attracted to? You know, what void potentially are you trying to fill, or what feelings potentially are you trying to avoid by being in constant relationship or recycling really a relationship dynamic with every partner or even within the same partner relationship. So we examined this, and it was a super fun interview and really informative. And I had so many ahas from that interview. And I got off the call, or we stopped recording rather. And I said to Kendra, you know, I don't even know how to put this into words because I think I still needed to process it. But I had such an aha moment from that interview, which was this, that when I put myself on my own version of a no-man diet, which was really me recognizing that I had really a toxic addiction to love relationships, where I was trying to find love. And I'm in the middle of writing my book right now. And one of the primary questions that I answer in my book for myself and, you know, hopefully for the reader is, who's going to love me now? And that's the question that bubbled up in my mind after my mom passed away. It was literally the day that we were burying her. And I had a meltdown, literally just the most deep guttural wailing I've ever experienced in my life. And really a sound that I didn't expect to come out of me. And it totally scared me. But in that moment that sound came out and that deep, deep level of grief came out, this question came out of my lips that I didn't understand. And the question was, who's going to love me now? And, you know, the insights in writing my book right now, which is called Unsettled, stay tuned, it'll be coming out later this year or next. But yeah, the insights that I'm getting in writing that book are just you know, just like little explosions in my mind happening. And I hope you like my sound effects, by the way. It's just, we're on a budget here for the show. Anyway, I'm getting so many insights from that. And after the show with Kendra, you know, one of the things that I thought was, well, when I put myself on this no-man diet, when I realized, hey, you got some toxic love addiction, relationship addiction thing happening here. You know, you're going through heartbreak after heartbreak. You're attracting the same kind of man. Like, what's going on here? And I really put myself on a timeout. And the insight that I got as Kendra was sharing with us is that I did that to my detriment. And I laughed with Kendra and I said, you know, I realized that I put myself on a no-man diet for so long that I became more of no-manorexia than a no-man diet choice. And we kind of chuckled and giggled together. And I thought, you know, this is really an important thing because there's a pendulum here, right? There's the place where you, as a man or a woman listening to the show, maybe you heard Kendra's show and you're like, you know, I'm realizing that I have that same kind of addiction. I have that same kind of, you know, cover up going on in my life, where I'm trying to cover up these difficult feelings or emotions by constantly being with someone. And there's a moment where you might look at that and say, okay, I really need to address this. And what I realized was that could also pendulum swing in the opposite direction. Like I realized that it did for me, to where, you know, I jokingly say I became no-manorexic. And this is where I believe, you know, the mission of coming into, sacred femininity or healthy femininity. And again, I'm just speaking to the feminine right now, so I apologize for the masculine energy that might be tuning in. But when you make a commitment to find self-reliance and self-sufficiency, we need to be cautious as women that we're not going so far to the other end of the pendulum where we literally block out the opportunity for relationship or for being open and vulnerable to the masculine. So I wanted to share that with you guys as my little takeaway from this show with Kendra. And, I keep having all these little aha moments from that show. But that was one of the biggest ones that came from me is, I swung way to the other side of the pendulum. I really went right to the other side of, being so self-sufficient that I shut myself off to relationship, that I didn't make myself even open or available. And for those of you listening, women that are entrepreneurs as well, I did notice this change my business as well. I noticed it changed my level of creativity. I noticed that it changed my level of, inspiration and connection to pleasure and passion. So just a little food for thought. And again, I thought it would be really valuable to share my own personal insight from Kendra's episode. I hope you go back and listen to it if you haven't. Even if you have, go back and listen to it again. Maybe you'll get some more insights. And if it resonated with you, and if this particular episode also resonates with you, pass it on to a friend. These are great episodes that, in my opinion and in my experience, really, they're conversation starters. One of the things I love about doing this show is I get to have these amazing conversations with amazing people on topics that are really life-changing. So this is a conversation starter. So maybe there's someone in your life that you need to pass this on to and start the conversation. So I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear what insights you got from Kendra's show, or even from listening to this little episode, and what came into your mind when you thought about that. Maybe you're experiencing that closure to relationship right now, or maybe you've had women listening, maybe you've had men come up to you and say like, oh, like you're so self-sufficient, there's no room for me in your life, or any version of that really. And for, women loving other women or men loving other men that are listening, it applies, right? We're talking about energy here, right? This is not gender or sexual orientation. This is a feminine energy and a masculine energy that we're talking about. And when we close down feminine energy, that translates into lack of receptivity. And if we are not receptive, if we're not open, which is the very definition of yin energy, we could be potentially losing out on a lot in life. And for those of you, again, that are business owners listening, how is this showing up in your business? How is this showing up in your other relationships? Don't have to be romantic. So little food for thought for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, you can catch all the shows at SheRisesPodcast.com, or you can tune in to iTunes, and don't forget to leave us a rate and review. Thanks for listening, guys. Love ya. Thank you so much for tuning in, and keep rising, everyone. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure you head over to SheRisesPodcast.com, and I'll see you there. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you tune back in next week when I dive into more juicy topics to help make your life the best it can be. And hey, if you've enjoyed listening to the show and you love it, head on over to iTunes and leave me a rate and review and subscribe there to the show.